short and stupid with WAPTech. Why do we use words like indigenous or aboriginal or aborigine or whatever? I'm going to give you the short and dumb answer as well as my answer. I'll give you my answer. We don't have any good collectivist word for groups of people of a specific class that we are making separate based on something we are not comfortable with discussing. And then we have to get politically correct about it because the words we use carry connotations they don't need to. We'd have to create a new word that's exclusively for this subject, which is honestly a good idea. If you want to talk about First Nations in North America, South America, and Australia, should you also include First Nations or First Tribes in Scotland, Ireland? Or even should you bother using those and just call it the Isles? Can we talk about original groups that do or do not still exist in some form that are the Basques? Or should we just use the name of the group? I'm Scotch, Irish, and French by genetic history. But some people in your family may be of Basque origin, which means they are very much related to Neanderthals. They are. There's more intermixing with that than you would find other places. Certain characteristics do transfer through, even thousands of years later. But it's only thousands. I mean, humans have been here for a while. Native American populations, as they're called, or Indians, or whatever else wording you want to use, have a genetic relation to the population that came over the land bridge, primarily, but also with island populations and people that migrated everywhere. Indigenous, the word, is including the word indigena in Latin. It's its origin. It means native or sprung from the land, and it is used as an expansive classification of communities that claim a historical continuity and cultural affinity with societies native to their original territories. The reason we have this separate wording is the rest of us in North America primarily are from someplace else. Saying First Nation kind of works but doesn't. Saying, well, the original population of the continent, descendants of the original population of the continent. That's what they are. That's what you'd have to say. You'd have to come up with, literally just make a random sound sequence for that word. Descendants of the original group of people that occupied this part of the world for the majority of time, long enough to develop so many separate characteristics that they didn't even know there was anything else on the planet. I mean, North America was discovered by the Europeans, and Europeans were discovered by the North Americans. South America population didn't necessarily know about the peoples to the north. They definitively didn't know about the east to the west except as legends of people who were blown off course in a boat or had walked across the land bridge that hadn't been there in so long they didn't even know if it could possibly be real. Then we're going to get to Aborigine or Aboriginal. Now, currently the word Aboriginal is spelled as Aboriginal. Ab is a prefix for not. So calling an original population not original sounds overtly dumb. That isn't really the origin for it, at least not really. But outside of the original group, naming it is another way of doing it, I guess. Now we're going to do the political correctness, critical race theory, colonialism thing. A group of people shows up in the United States and decides that you're the other group and you're outside of the majority because they happen to overpopulate. And they decide, even though it's your land, my land, not their land, that you're a guest on their dirt now. That's not China invading. That's what happened to the native population of this continent. Period. That's really what happened. It doesn't matter if you like it. That's literally what happened. And being a conquered population, a lot of people would like them all to shut up and be quiet. I don't know at this point how many senators or governors or whatever are of Native American origin, or simply state, I'm a Chippewa. or whatever group. Now, the other option to this, which is politically correct and I think more accurate, for the same reason I do this about a lot of political correctness, is a person saying, I'm not Native American, I'm a Umatilla tribesman. Because they're of the tribe Umatilla, which is the name of the county in Oregon. They're like, I'm not an Indian or Native American, I'm a member of the Umatilla tribe. Oh, well, no, that's the end of the discussion. And at that point, the bouncer of the bar says, you're leaving because I don't give a fuck what you think or feel because I have power over you. See how it works? And then the person is physically lifted off the ground and his drunk ass is thrown out of the bar. And everyone cheers on because the guy's almost 7 feet tall and doesn't give a shit what you have to say. You're drunk and you're leaving. And you're asking him, what tribe are you in? Umatilla. Oh, you're an Indian. Get out. Fuck you. I'm not going to explain myself to you. It's not some pride thing. It's you're not allowed to take away my dignity. I'm a hacker. I'm a geek. I'm a web-based life form. I'm WAPTech. My birth name is not relevant. It's a dead name. Look up dead name. And no, I'm not culturally appropriating a culture. I'm stealing it outright. I'm an American. All humans steal from other cultures. All human beings screw with other cultures. When I hung out with friends that were black, they would do jokes about black people and try to tell me to loosen up. When I was around Jewish people, they would tell so many Jewish jokes. It was actually an annoying thing, but it was funny as well. Because they won't allow it to be taken seriously because that doesn't make things work. It should be taken serious when it should be taken serious, and it should be not taken serious when it's not really doing any good. Most Native American populations I know of in the United States say, I'm an American. But I'm also part of a Native American group. They don't say I'm an African American or something hyphenated like that. They say I'm a Umatilla tribesman and an American, and because they have to mention that they have both statuses, because there is really a status to it. You're part of a population that had a birthright that was taken from you, and it was done by decree or by war or by whatever, and as of now, you're still owed. It's not that long ago. Not any longer ago than African Americans that were literally kidnapped and enslaved. Are they owed reparations? At this point, that's a discussion I can't have anymore. We have way too many problems right now that are bubbling up to the surface for me to believe that this is a clear-cut subject either. I don't believe so anymore, though, that this is something that should be done. I am me. I am not Scotch, Irish, and French. Nor is one of my relatives really Basque. We're all just some idiots that lived in the desert, no matter what desert it is. We're desert geeks. And now I'm an occupant of the internet. Doesn't matter what my house is, or if I have one. I'm a human. I don't give a damn about the rest because any of these compartmentalizations don't work for me. That isn't the way it is for everybody else. Some people are very proud to say I'm Scotch-Irish, or I'm Irish, or I'm French. Or some people say I'm a proud member of the Zulu tribe, because they really fucking are. Because that's it. Well, is it how we self-identify? Yes. I don't identify as what you want because I don't have to. And if you demand that I do, fuck you. It's a very simple thing to say to people. You should do it more often. And when it comes to the Native American tribes people that I dealt with, they're just as likely to bitch out somebody else for being politically correct unnecessarily as they are for someone not doing political correctness that's important because it was a political environment that they were dealing with. So, the question came across. The word indigenous, according to the dictionary, is very different than aboriginal. These are words that have evolved over time. Some words gain an opposite meaning to what they started with. What are your thoughts on this? Aren't we all indigenous if we were born in a certain area and haven't traveled too far afield? No. It's based on heritage and culture being permeated. A person who's left a long time ago, the Native American population, and gone off reservation or whatever you want to call it, all the other wordings people use, and is now working as a farmer somewhere in South Dakota, nowhere near his native lands, and he's third generation from that, cannot be called an indigenous or aboriginal person except by genetics. And is that acceptable? Some Tribes do not permit you to claim yourself to be part of the tribe. You have to be reaccepted in because you've been gone too long. They don't recognize you. So why would the government? The government has to because of some law passed or whatever. But the tribe itself says no. Another tribe says it doesn't matter if you've been far removed or if you're even just one drop of blood from the population, you're part of our group if you wish to be. Another group says you can join or exit. You can change your status. Just like being an American. You can choose to be an American or you can choose to leave. And I don't fault anybody for either choice. I fault people for deciding that they must redefine us because they are not comfortable with how we self-identify. I identify as an attack helicopter. Bird. Okay, I lie. A warthog. Wee. At least the gun. Autocannons are fun. But only if they're single shot. Seriously, let's slow down the process. But how we self-identify is how we wish to be treated, the respect we demand, or at least request that people acknowledge. You are not owed respect or dignity. It is something you earn, is what I learned when I was younger. I still agree with that. But on some things, I do believe that there is some inherent respect for facts that must be maintained. While I don't agree with somebody spouting lies all the time, if they say something that's factual, I will acknowledge the fact of it, which may be a failing on my part to win some stupid argument on the internet or in person. What is your level of respect you wish to communicate or acknowledge? And do we have the right to judge you by the way you judge others? Hell yes. So when the government has to walk on eggshells about what they say, one of the things I've learned is what a senator said, or an assistant to a senator who was a tribesman from the Umatilla tribe. Stop writing it down in vague terms if you're referring to a specific tribe and just name the tribe. Saves the trouble, it's completely accurate, and none of them have reason to bitch about it. If you're speaking collectively about any group, you're going to get it wrong no matter what you do because it's an inaccurate word. This is the reason words are created out of nothing. They have to be. Because sometimes we don't have the words to express what we think and feel, and they can be misconstrued too easily. So, what word would you use as a collective term for a population that is the actual original native population to a continent long after they've been outnumbered? I'd call them landlords, but I think that would piss off a group of people that I'd like to piss off. The old ones? The first ones? Or just humans? No matter what you come up with, you're going to get somebody angry at you. Being politically correct is basically avoiding an argument with people who are easily going to be offended, and sometimes rightfully so. Sometimes they're just tired of the whole conversation. So what word would you make up? Something pronounceable, easily pronounceable. That means all the French people have to shut up. And the Russians and Germans. Maybe even us Americans. But what word would you invent out of your butt or repurpose that would do a good job representing this? I'm sure there's a better word than Aboriginal or Indigenous. Maybe we could look up a foreign version of the word landlord. That sounds good. Or maybe ghosts of the land. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. By the way, this is the only channel I can post to until something works out in the next 3 days on the other channel, or they just kill it.